Somewhere in Asia right now, there is an American citizen holding a valid passport, a paid plane ticket, and a genuine reason to travel, and they still cannot get in. Not because of war, not because of money, not because anyone hates them. In one of these countries, the wall isn't even built by the country itself, it's built by Washington. Today, we're opening 7 doors across Asia that have quietly and sometimes violently closed on American travelers. Some were shut by suspicion, some by war. One was shut by America's own government against its own people. Stay until the end, because the final country on this list isn't just hard to enter. It's one of the only places on Earth where your own passport becomes a warning label. Number 7. Bhutan, the kingdom that charges you to enter. Bhutan has no political grudge against the United States. It doesn't ban Americans. It does something quieter. It prices them out. Every foreign tourist must pay a sustainable development fee, a daily charge on top of hotels, food, and transport, just for the right to be inside the country. At its peak, that number touched $200 a night. There's no backpacking through Bhutan. Independent travel isn't allowed. Every visitor must book through a licensed Bhutanese operator, follow a pre-approved itinerary, and travel with a government guide almost the entire time. Why? Bhutan measures success in gross national happiness, not GDP. It has openly said it doesn't want mass tourism or the crowds and cultural erosion that hit neighboring Nepal and Thailand. The door isn't slammed shut. It's built so high that most people simply turn around. In fact, Bhutan didn't open to public tourism at all until 1974. It hasn't fully opened to anyone. It's just decided who gets to knock and what that knock costs. Number 6. Myanmar, a country at war with itself. Myanmar was once Southeast Asia's rising travel story. Then in 2021, the military seized power again, and the country turned into one of the region's most dangerous. Myanmar isn't closed by a single visa rule, it's closed by geography and gunfire. Large parts of the country are active conflict zones, controlled not by the capital, but by armed ethnic groups. For Americans, the risk is sharper. Foreign nationals, especially U.S. passport holders, have been detained on vague, politically motivated charges. The ruling junta is deeply suspicious of Western influence, and it doesn't always distinguish between a spy and a backpacker. Visa rules here shift with almost no warning, tightening or loosening based on the military government's mood. Bagan's ancient temples and Inle Lake remain some of the most stunning sights in Asia, but beauty and access are two very different things, and right now, most governments, including America's, are actively warning citizens to stay away. Number 5. Syria. A door barely cracked open. For over a decade, Syria wasn't just difficult for Americans, it was closed to almost everyone. Civil war, chemical weapons allegations, and ISIS controlling entire cities made it one of the only places on Earth where the advice wasn't, be careful, it was, do not go. Then the old regime fell, and a new government began cautiously reopening to the world. Under the previous regime, Americans could technically apply for a visa, but approval seemed to depend more on political mood than paperwork. Since the change, the picture is murkier, not clearer. Some believe access could improve as the new government seeks investment and tourism revenue. Others point out a country still littered with unexploded ordnance and armed groups outside state control isn't ready for tourists in any real number. Syria is unique here. Not a country with a clear policy of exclusion, but one where the rules are still being written in real time. For now, the US keeps it at the highest danger level. Ban or no ban, the real barrier is what's waiting on the other side of that border. Number 4. Turkmenistan. Central Asia's sealed vault. Ask 100 people to point to Turkmenistan on a map, and most will fail. That's exactly how its government prefers it. Turkmenistan is one of the most isolated nations on Earth, closer in character to North Korea than to its Central Asian neighbors. There is currently no visa-free entry here for citizens of any country. Every visitor needs a letter of invitation from a government-approved operator. Independent travel doesn't exist. For Americans, it goes deeper. Even with complete paperwork, there are documented cases of applicants being denied with zero explanation and no refund. Once inside, tourists move on fixed itineraries with approved guides, and photographing the wrong street or building can mean serious trouble. And yet, The country hides one of the most surreal sights on the planet, the Darvaza gas crater, a desert pit that's been burning continuously since the 1970s. Locals call it the door to hell. It might be the most fitting nickname in the country. Number 3, Iran, surveillance as the price of entry. Iran isn't officially off limits to Americans. Almost nobody would call it accessible either. An American can't simply book a flight and apply for a visa. They must first be sponsored by a registered Iranian tour operator who applies for an authorization code from Iran's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, a process that can take weeks before the visa application even starts. Once approved, Americans are legally required to stay with an official guide for the entire trip. No independent movement, no unscheduled stops. The hostility traces back to 1979, after the fall of the Shah and the hostage crisis that followed. To Iran's government, an unsupervised American tourist isn't just a visitor, it's a potential security concern. Here's the irony. Those who've actually traveled there often describe Iran and ordinary Iranians as remarkably warm toward Americans, even as their government remains one of Washington's fiercest adversaries. The barrier isn't the people, it's a government using tourism as one more tool of control. Number 2, Afghanistan, a country with no one to call. In August 2021, the Taliban retook Afghanistan as US forces withdrew after 20 years of war. Within days, the American embassy in Kabul was evacuated and shut down completely. That single fact changes everything. If something goes wrong inside Afghanistan today, there is no US embassy to call, no consulate to walk into. Washington has been explicit. It cannot provide routine or emergency help inside Afghan borders. Visas still technically exist, issued through a small number of Taliban-recognized missions abroad, but the process is inconsistent and American applicants have reportedly been charged well over double the standard fee. The U.S. advisory sits at level 4, the highest possible warning, citing civil unrest, terrorism, kidnapping risk, and wrongful detention. Foreign nationals connected to journalism, aid work, or anything seen as Western influence have faced surveillance and, in some cases, extended detention. Some specialized adventure travelers still make the journey, but for almost everyone else, the real question isn't, can I get a visa? It's, if something goes wrong, who comes to help me? Right now, the honest answer is, no one. Number 1, North Korea, the ban America placed on itself. And now, the country that closes this list. The one place where the barrier isn't built by the nation you're trying to enter, it's built by your own government. Here's the twist. North Korea on its own doesn't refuse American tourists. For years, small numbers of Americans visited through tightly controlled, government-vetted tours, watched constantly, but allowed in. The real wall came from Washington. After the death of American student Otto Warmbier in 2017, following his detention in North Korea, the US government declared American passports invalid for travel to, in, or through the country, except in rare, individually approved cases. Think about what that means. This isn't North Korea keeping Americans out. It's America telling its own citizens, you're not allowed to go, even if they let you in. The restriction has been renewed repeatedly for years. There are quiet signs of change. Cross-border rail between China and North Korea resumed in 2026 after 6 years, and old flight routes are stirring back to life. None of that has changed anything for American tourists. Tour operators say the same thing. Right now, the only realistic way in for a US citizen is holding a second passport entirely. Every other country on this list built its own door and locked it. North Korea's door is still standing. It's the key that's missing, and America is the one holding it. 7 countries, 7 different reasons, a kingdom that prices out its visitors, a nation at war with itself, a regime in transition, a sealed vault in the desert, a surveillance state disguised as a destination, a country with no embassy left to call, and finally, a ban America placed on its own people. A passport isn't just a document. It's a reflection of politics you never voted on, playing out the moment you try to cross a border. If stories like this fascinate you, subscribe, because we're going deeper into the world's most complicated borders very soon. Which of these 7 surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments.